or you can run a podcast.
Another cool way of promoting your e-commerce brand is, let's say you sell furniture, you start a podcast where you interview interior designers and architects, because this way you get exposure to the right people who then can, refer you, and you just build a brand and you become a thought leader in the space and everybody knows you. Very easy win, very easy to get people on the podcast, because, interior designers, etc., are not that often asked to be featured or to be interviewed somewhere. It's different in the web world, I guess, but in this world, I think it's going to be a very easy win to get in front of the right audience.
You could do advertising on podcasts, which is really big these days. You can try to find podcasts that have a demographic that would be of interest, basically would be your target demographic. And so you could get podcasts lined up, and most podcasts these days will have advertising slots. And so they may have like an ad slot at the beginning. They may have ad slots throughout the actual recording and even at the end. And you can purchase ad slots to promote your business.
You can just kind of hop up on podcasts.
A cool way to promote your e-commerce brand is being featured on podcasts. So let's say you sell baby clothing or something for little kids. And then if you're featured on a mommy blog or a mommy podcast where the audience is predominantly moms who could buy your product, it's a cool way to promote your podcast. And ideally, if you have like a story that ties in with the product that you have, like some pain that you lived through, and then you found a solution and you became so obsessed with this that you started a business around this. I think that's always like a cool story to tell, and worth sharing with an audience of a podcast.
I just listen to podcasts all the time that are just not Amazon podcasts, just business in general podcasts. I listen to a lot of business books, and I don't really listen to any Amazon webinars or podcasts anymore, just because I've heard too many different ways on how to adjust a cost per click. And now I'm just kind of filling my head with information that just contradicts all the information I've heard before, and I'm just kind of confusing myself at this point. And so I try to just kind of keep it to the basics. And so I hear different business models, different ways people make money, and see if I can apply it to Amazon, see how it works within Amazon, see if Amazon's already thought of this or if it's on Amazon's roadmap, and really try to get a kind of a cohesive idea of what the macro at 10,000 foot level of Amazon looks like, and then who are all the little players within it, and how do I fit into this ecosystem.
An offer that converts has got to have, it's got to be relevant to the target market. So there's a message to market match. And that's good with my podcast because I have a very specific kind of person that I attract. So it's a small audience, but they're very, very interested in a particular topic. The second thing is it needs to have a couple of the usual things, which is some time urgency really helps. I normally have landing pages that have a timer on, or I just do a 3 or 4 day sale. I just did one for the PLP course, which is the private label process course, which is the course that I sell on that. And it had a clear deadline, and it had a clear offer, which is you can get a substantial amount off the usual cost. I think it was like £100 off or something very big, and it was time limited, and I called it Prime Day offer, just like Amazon's Prime Day, and guess what, it did fine, it converted well. But those are pretty standard things, and people get very obsessed with, what offer do I need to do, what pressure can I put on my consumer, what 50 emails can I send them in a week? But actually, that's not why it works. It worked because I put content out there, created goodwill and rapport. So you need to have the know, like, trust thing that Dan Kennedy talks about, which is if people don't know you exist, they can't buy from you anyway. If they don't like you, they're not going to buy from you. If you send them a lot of emails giving them stuff they don't want and it's not relevant to them, they will just unsubscribe, or they'll just ignore your emails, or they'll just hate you but won't say anything. And they need to trust you. And that's the hardest thing to get online. So that requires the best way in information marketing, but also I believe with physical product marketing as well, is to give a lot of useful help and solve people's problems. And if you give them help through information that is often free, like podcasts or like YouTube channel or something, or for that matter, Instagram feed to give people fashion ideas, it doesn't matter, in my opinion, so much, then they will trust that you can help them solve their problems or help them achieve their desires of looking gorgeous or being wonderful at golf or whatever it may be, or selling on Amazon. And then after all of that work, the offer is important, but actually it's the icing on the cake, because it's the work that created the rapport between you and your customer that leads to the conversions, in my opinion, my experience.